All right. Just about 10 o'clock. Thank you and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sean Davenport Smith. I'm a sales engineer with Lawn Building Technologies, specializing in plumbing and hydronic equipment sales. Today we've got Conrad Jarling with Watts Water. He is the Water Wellness Product Manager. And today we'll be talking about the link element. And with that, I'll turn it over to Conrad. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome, Sean. Much appreciated. So, big thanks for setting up this this coffee break, and hello, everybody. So today I'm going to walk you through the Element. Element is a new offering from Link by Watts. Some of you are familiar with Link, but Link is a new brand within Watts that combines the expertise that you know from Airco, PVI, and Powers, as well as Watts, to create pre-designed, factory-built, packaged solutions. And so collectively, we have about 275 years of experience, almost all of it separately from each other. And yet, separately, our engineers and designers still had to perform systems thinking. In general, how do you have your water heater function with different recirc pumps? Or how can I help my customer go from fixture count and water quality to the correct product size, whether it be the valve, water heater, softener, or filter? So think of how many times this happens when a domestic hot water system, you're building one and you're going down to the building blocks. We are rescoping what it means to be that building block with Link. And so Link provides pre-engineered, factory-built packaged solutions that create a one-stop shop for your domestic hot and cold water systems. We do this from a variety of lenses, whether it be for water quality, water heating, heat pumps for electrification, and also with what we're going to talk through today, water wellness. And so water wellness, this is a new product category designed to provide a single source solution that's ideal for healthcare, hospitality, education, and other markets. When we talk about wellness in general, not only are we talking thermal, microbiological, and water quality, but also understanding on a long-term basis how to easily maintain those outputs. And so part of that has to do with Legionella mitigation, which was not fully executed in a couple of instances in these outbreak examples. So this is from a newly opened hospital outside of Cincinnati, where they had disinfected their hot water back in February of 2019, but then they let it sit stagnant until it opened to the public in April. And so great, they checked that box, but the timing, that became a problem. So as a result, in May, the following month, there were 16 cases and 1 fatality from the outbreak. They hired a consultant and they had to re-disinfect and flush their lines while the building was still occupied, but they controlled it and that worked. Another example is out in Quincy, Illinois. So I'm sure many of you know Legionella targets the elderly and immunocompromised. And so long-term care facilities, therefore, are especially more prone to Legionella risk. So at this VA home in Quincy, there have been 52 cases over 3 years between 2015 and 2018, as well as 12 deaths. So haven't had any new cases since 2018, so it sounds like their $25 million renovation to update the plumbing system worked, including any ongoing mitigation that they had. So part of that mitigation is to have a water management plan. And what do I mean by that? So this is a means to monitor and control the microbiological quality of your water system. You are never going to get rid of the microbes in your biofilm once they get in. So the best you can do is really to fight the good fight with your water management team. Step one is to map out your system, and either you're doing this or with the help of a consultant. And I highly recommend to get someone in your corner for this. So once that system survey is complete and the risks are mapped out, then you can determine what you're going to do for your control locations. So this is where you plan to monitor the water. So at those locations, you also look at control measures. What is it exactly that you are measuring? Is it chloramine concentration? Is it UV output? Is it temperature, etc.? And then when you're monitoring those measures, at what control limits do you need do something. So are you going to adjust your process for your UV lamps? Are you going to change your incoming concentration? You need to take some kind of a premeditated action. And so with those corrective actions, those need to be recorded into a log and have it available for your next audit. So Element is able to do this at the point of entry. So water management, this is particularly important these days since CMS requires water management plans. So CMS is Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And so they had a memo that required hospitals, critical access hospitals in more rural areas, and nursing homes, all of which are covered by CMS, all to have water management plans. That was 2017. And then in March of last year, there was an announcement from the Joint Commission whereby, and that's an accrediting body who would actually perform the survey of the hospital. They are going to enforce this rule starting in January 1st of this year. So long-term care facilities are starting to feel the pressure of these audits and are getting written up. Again, Element can help here. Having and maintaining a water management plan, this is difficult because, as you know, building plumbing systems are complex. So Element, even though it's the complete point of entry system for Legionella mitigation, it's doing this by combining a lot of the features that you would see in a traditional mechanical room. What you see on the screen here, these are probably two of the nicer ones, better laid out, better built. But we want to take the complexity that comes with any mechanical room, whether it be the install of components, multiple rep relationships, water treatment, water heating, building automation, control and integration, and reduce it down to the element. So for remote control, infection control professionals, and facilities personnel who have limited staff, we present the element. It's the first of its kind water heater package system that has one-pointed controls for all of its subsystems. So unlike stick-built products, Element has predictive maintenance alerts and infection control reporting. It's the complete system for waterborne pathogen mitigation. And it has an integrated control system that goes beyond, well, anything you're going to find off the shelf. And because all of Element comes from Link, you have one number to call for service, repair parts, and any application advice. It also means that as a factory-built system in a controlled environment, we can and have pre-designed it for a very small footprint. So you only have 12 connections to make in the back and not all the piping between those subsystems. So with those subsystems, we are leveraging existing trusted and tested technologies in the best way possible in order to support pathogen mitigation. We're doing this through water heating, water treatment, and the controls and intelligence that run throughout the design. This Legionella mitigation machine is shrunk to the size that can fit through a 7-foot tall door and at 2,800 pounds also onto an elevator. So on screen here are typical hospital beds with their sizes to scale with the unit. So Element is the dotted line footprint, and it can move anywhere a normal hospital bed can. So we did this deliberately so that you're not removing walls to navigate Element through a building, nor does it mean you're using a crane, but you certainly can. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to let you know, Element comes in 3 different gas-powered water heater output sizes ranging from 600,000 BTU up to 1 million. Each are powered by a fire tube heat exchanger made of duplex stainless steel for that superior corrosion resistance. And each have a 130-gallon tank for immediate hot water. Now, if you're familiar with Legionella, that tank volume would normally present a problem site for growth. However, we have internal controls to self-sanitize within the element by elevating the temperature and circulating the water within it for a period of time before returning it back to set point. You also have the option of building-wide thermal sanitation, where you can thoroughly disinfect your water heater loop for a time at temp and then open up your branches. Both of these events are logged and become part of a generated report, as well as coming through an alert on your phone that's done. So I'll get back to that. But those events are just that, though. They are one-off and discrete. Adding to that best practice, Element also has continuous UV disinfection on both cold and recirc lines. Normally infection control personnel are interested in the amount of say, residual chloramine that you have in the system. But this assumes that you have a fresh supply of cold water regularly coming in. But that's not always an option. So having that second UV system on the recirc loop coming back into the element, that makes the element unique as the domestic hot water loop is constantly being treated. And then finally, Element has complete certification of the entire assembly by IAPMO and EdgeSC, so that your water heating plant can become a checkbox to an inspector. Where Element stands apart, though, is the EdgeSC Controller that controls all the components, valves, sensors, and pumps into a single dashboard that is onboard and native to the Element. If you've ever programmed a building automation system, or more to the point, you had to pay for one, that would incorporate, say, 90 plus different Modbus or BACnet points, the cost to do so on a custom system can reach 6 figures. Some of the unique processes like thermal disinfection, a control system contractor is probably not going to take the liability to program that. So local integration is key, but remote viewing is also critical these days. Element will send you a text, email, or notification through the web or mobile app, and your clients can monitor what's happening in real time with their plants, buildings, campuses, especially if they have multiple elements within their properties that report into a single app. Not only that, but they can also temporarily grant access to a service contractor to perform any maintenance on those elements. We have chosen Microsoft Azure for user credentialing, which is the same that the U.S. Department of Defense uses. And so you know that your connections are secure from user to unit. And so Element is built with ASHRAE 188 in mind. And the intent is to keep occupant health and regulatory requirements at bay. You can fold Element into your water management plan as a turnkey unit, and that all of it lines up with ASHRAE 188 in numerous regards. Again, it is designed to be a Legionella mitigation machine. It provides the control measures at point of entry, being the control location. Those control limits can be defined by the water management team, and then those alerts lead to corrective actions and system maintenance. For documentation, you have an ASHRAE 188 report that pulls it all together so that when a Joint Commission surveyor stops by, this can be part of their review packet. And so that report cites specific sections to make it easy for that surveyor or client to tie Element back to the water management plan and back to ASHRAE 188. So the intent of that is for it to be a turnkey Appendix A for the water management team's complete report. So I want to thank you for your time today. And if you have any questions, Sean and I are happy to field them.
Thanks, Conrad. I just got a couple questions I was hoping that we could touch on a little bit more. Can you touch base on what exactly is made up of the Element? What are the components and how does it work?
Sure. So I know I mentioned it briefly. Here it is. So let's go over theory of operation really quickly. So this should look like mechanical room schematic because that was the design intent. So as you come in through here on the cold water makeup, you have an initial filter, 5-micron sediment filter. Then it goes through the anti-scale subsystem to minimize the scale buildup within your domestic hot loop. Then it goes through the cold water UV system before entering the water heater, and then comes out either through the hot or down to a digital mixing valve that can give a mixed output of ±2 degrees Fahrenheit. Then on the return, you have another filter, another 5-micron filter to take up any other sediment that might have become dislodged over time. Then through that second UV subsystem and back to the water heater.
Okay, great. And then also, apparently, it's very evident that this would be for healthcare buildings and facilities, but what are some other applications that the Element would be good for and why?
Sure. So probably first thing comes to mind is college dorms. Anytime you have large residence hall being started up or shut down, you have a risk of colonization within the system. Also, commercial properties. If you look at some of the criteria that, and this is kind of more on the architect side, but if they're looking for lead points for wellness through well building or fit well, one of the criterion is regarding pathogen mitigation in your domestic hot water supply. And so if this absolutely will help you gain those points in order to get those silver, gold, and platinum certs.
That's great. Thank you so much, Conrad. There's still a lot more information. So if anyone out there has any questions, please reach out to your sales engineer and we can definitely help you out with that. Thank you everyone for joining us, and please have a great rest of your week.